Welcome to Running Joke. I'm Esther Manito.
And I'm still Zoe Lyons.
Yay! This is your 30-minute running chat, and we have got another amazing... I cannot believe the guests we're getting.
Well, look, you say we're getting. I've done nothing so far. You're getting.
Amazing guests. We have got the incredible Professor
Hello.
Alice Roberts. Hello.
Well, also, I'm here because, Esther, you got me running again. So I was like, I've got to come and do your podcast.
I'm so excited about that. I'm excited about that.
We were on a radio show,
That
and I was talking to you about running, and I said, look, I got into running late in life. In fact, it happened in 2020 when my children persuaded me to start running.
Yeah.
And I loved it, but then I'd suffered with various injuries, and I'd had a little ankle operation. I think it was about 18 months ago. And I've been too nervous to get back to running. And you were like, oh, go and try. And literally about 2 days later, I thought, I'm just going to do it, and I'm loving it. So I'm back.
That's
And it's your
amazing.
fault.
pleased.
Yeah.
Esther Manito, motivator.
By
Yeah.
saying, just
Just give it a go.
give it a go.
What's the
then,
worst
Alice.
that can
give it a
happen?
go. What else is good? What else you got going on?
Is the ankle all right?
Alice Roberts with
What
12
else would-
TV shows and 18
Oh,
books.
God, I'm
Come
so
on.
busy. But
Give it
you've
a
got
go.
to keep fit, haven't you? I mean, I can only do the breadth of work that I do because I'm quite adamant about keeping fit, and like when I'm away on location, I'm always very good at it. I'm less good when I'm at home though, so that's why running's really good because I can just run straight out my door and go for take the dog for a run as well.
Yeah.
Also,
It's
you
really
said
good.
when we were on Loose Ends and you were talking about all the different things you've got coming out, and you were saying that your husband had said to you, even at Christmas, you just really struggled to switch off. And he was like, are you seriously going to go? And you were, I'm just going to go and do a bit of writing.
Yeah, on Boxing Day.
On
he was
Boxing
going,
Day.
what are you doing? And I'm like,
Really?
there. I've crept away to go, well, I've just finished a novel, and I got slightly obsessed with it. So I was creeping away to do it. And he's like, you're not meant to be working over Christmas. And it's really hard because it is work, but on the other hand, it isn't because I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
I
your
wouldn't have been
list of-
doing boring emails.
No.
But I was tinkering with my novel.
But your list of credits and achievements is incredible, Alice. I was looking at everything that you've done over the last sort of 15, 20 years, and I got repetitive strain injury in my finger just scrolling down
It's
through everything on the screen.
It's like
I
you're
was like,
19 people.
yeah,
How are you one person?
There's a lot of synergy between the different things that I do.
yeah.
But I also I like being busy. I think there's an sometimes I put too much pressure on myself. So there is an element of that kind of old Protestant work ethic thing. And that kind of, do something useful. What are you doing with yourself?
Yeah.
So I have got that. My husband's really helped me with that. I mean, we've been together since we were at university. And I think when I first met him at university, I was very driven, and I still am. But he helped me to do things like, I think before I started going out with him, I'd never just sat and listened to music,
Okay.
because it's like you don't do that because you could be doing something
Right.
while listening to music.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So he's really helped me kind of just get a bit more peace into my life. But I've still got this. I've still got this
That's
thing
what
where I'm
running will
doing
give
stuff.
you. It will just give you just
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
half-hour slot of just having a little bit of escapism.
Yeah, I love that. And I listen to music, and you just go into your own little world, and you're not then thinking about what you're doing in the afternoon. You're not thinking about what you're going to cook for dinner. Although, to be fair, normally it's my husband cooking the dinner.
Oh, okay.
And you're not but you're not doing that list thing
Yeah.
in your head. You're just in the moment. It forces you to be in the moment. It's lovely.
Well,
So
it's
a pleasant distraction.
Yeah.
A pleasant, yeah.
It's almost meditative, isn't
Yeah.
it?
You time.
Yeah.
Can I say that? Is that really cheesy?
You
Bit of you
time.
time.
But then I
Yeah.
can also make the excuse that I'm walking the dog at the same time. So I am doing something useful
doing
because I'm walking the
something
dog.
Yeah.
So
And your dog goes running with you.
She does.
Allah.
So we got the dog in lockdown as well. So she was a little puppy in 2020, and she's meant to be a wirehead Hungarian Vizsla.
Right.
WHV they call them.
Right.
But she's just an HV. So she didn't get the genetic memo to grow into this kind of shaggy thing. So she's got a slightly fluffy chin, and that's about it. But she's a big dog. She's a Vizsla.
Good runner?
She loves running. Although yesterday it was raining, and I put my kit on, and I thought, well, I put my kit on now, so I've got to go. I mean, that's the first thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
As soon as you put your kit on, that's it. You're not going to get back out of your running kit.
Yeah. Takes me half an hour to get to my sports bra. So I'm committed once I'm in. I've got to be cut out of it.
It is an effort, isn't it? And then and I went down to get the dog, and she's normally kind of like, oh, you're in running gear. Excellent, off we go. And she'd crept inside her bed, and she's got one of those envelope beds, and she'd got as far into it as possible. She's like, I'm not coming out.
No.
And I literally had to drag her out the door. Once you're out the door, she's like, right, let's go. But the kind of stepping out into the drizzle, she was like, ooh.
Oh, that's, yeah. Although I do love running in the rain.
I do. It's
I
lovely.
love running in the rain.
Sleet's my favourite precipitation.
Sleet?
I love sleet.
Do you?
Yeah, because I really overheat.
Oof.
I get really
it
hot.
Can sting. It can
I
sting.
love that. Do you know what I
you?
really love? When it's so cold, when you stop, you just steam like a hot
Yeah.
potato.
I like that. I do.
Yeah.
I love running in snow. I love running in rain because I'm so sweaty and hot.
Yeah.
I remember going out running with my running wife, and we were out running and it started hailing, and she just went, "It's like 1,000 fairies are hitting us with mallets." It was just like, it's really sore.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, actually, this is painful now.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about getting back in the warm as well.
Yeah.
I just feel like it sorts your brain out. I feel sometimes it's so easy to be really, I mean, I don't know if you're probably a lot more driven than I am, Alice, but like if I've got to write a show, I will literally sit down and go, I'm going to write. And then 4 hours later, I'm still scrolling on Instagram and I actually feel like my brain is just
Clogging.
crumbling.
Yeah.
So
But
getting
sometimes
out.
with ideas, I mean, it's interesting ideas, isn't it? Because I think that sometimes ideas come to me when I'm running as well, and that there's an element of it where you're, you know, if you're creative and if you've got a task to do and you know you need to make this thing and it needs to be creative, you can sit down and force yourself to do it in a kind of formulaic way. But sometimes it is walking away and switching off. Sometimes I get my best ideas
Yeah.
when
definitely,
I do that.
yeah.
And it's almost like your brain, the back room bit of your brain is still working on it. And then it kind of permeates through and you go, oh, actually, maybe that's where I'm going now.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, I did a really interesting bit of filming with neuroscientists who were working with musicians, and they were looking at the patterns of brainwaves in these musicians. So I had a go at this thing where they were trying to do biofeedback to basically help the musicians get into a meditative state. Because the theory was that if you were in this more kind of meditative state, you'd be more creative and you'd be able to play music better. It would flow better. And it was almost about switching off the kind of the alertness of your brain and the kind of the frenzy that goes on in there and getting you into this much calmer state. Now, I tried meditation in the past and I can't do it because I do start going, what am I having for dinner in the middle of it? Where you're meant to be just looking at a flower, like Zen meditation, and kind of just thinking about the flower. And I'm going, oh, you know, what am I doing tomorrow? What are the kids? No, I can't do it. But I did this thing with the biofeedback, and the way they did it was that they recorded your brainwaves. So you put on a cap with lots of electrodes in it, and then they transformed that into sound. And if it was alpha and beta waves, which are the quick, crazy ones, you could hear a babbling brook. And then if you were starting to get the slower, I think they're called delta waves coming through, they'd play that to you. They'd transfer that back to you as a sound of waves crashing on a beach. And what you had to try to do, without knowing how you were doing it, which was the interesting thing, was let the waves come to the fore and suppress the sound of the babbling brook. If you focused too much on the babbling brook, so if you focused on that task, the babbling brook got louder. So you had to do this kind of weird letting go thing.
Yeah.
And then these
incredible.
brainwaves would and then it put you into this incredibly calm state of mind. And that's what they were doing with these musicians. And the musicians were all saying, I'm playing better. Not just I think I'm playing better, but when people are listening to me, they think I'm playing better. Once they'd learned that trick of putting themselves into that mental state.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating.
It's like being in the flow state,
Yes.
isn't it? Where you're not sabotaging yourself. You're not stopping yourself. You're letting everything just be as it should be in that perfect. Sometimes when I am running, I'll be very honest, Alice, I'm a very poor, slow runner
Me too.
who's got
That's not poor.
appalling gait, I sound like an asthmatic pug escaping a house fire. But very occasionally, in those moments, you hit a bit where everything feels perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that euphoric.
And it's euphoric.
It's
Yes.
euphoric.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
euphoric when you just
Yeah.
go, here I am running,
Yeah.
and nothing feels like it's falling off.
No.
My vagina's not come out.
Yeah.
Boobs aren't clapping about.
But
Yeah.
those moments never last long for me. So I'm kind of in it like that, and I'm thinking, this is amazing. And
And
I
you
think
get
I
about a
could
mile.
run 10 miles, 20 miles, maybe 30 miles. And then realistically,
Yeah.
after about another minute, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's back
gone
again.
now.
It's back again.
It does.
That's
That is
happened.
the problem. You're then, and it will always be like you kind of come to quite a flat path.
Yeah.
And you're in that rhythm, and then it just takes something like a little undulated
But
hill, and you're like, nah. I'm
That's
done.
the sort of it's not addiction's the wrong word, but the craving I get when I'm running is to find those little moments of flow like that,
Yeah.
where everything must be in
Perfect.
that lovely delta wave of thought and
Yeah.
It must be, mustn't it?
physicality.
Yeah.
When you've been working in different locations outside the UK, have you used running as a way, as a way of just getting away from work a little bit, but also exploring the area around you?
Yeah, running and walking. So I always like
Nice.
to kind of get out and explore. And obviously, you have to be quite careful in some places.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it depends where you are, location wise. But it's lovely. I mean, I will often be staying in a hotel somewhere, and I like to get out and explore the environment and you find out where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find out where I am in the landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Take it all in.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself, as somebody who is, so expert in anatomy, do you find yourself thinking about your own anatomy when you're running?
Oh yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, and especially now that I am getting older,
Yeah.
obviously, and I've got this thing on Instagram which is fight the decrepitude,
Yeah.
because your body's falling apart in new and interesting ways every day, and you have to combat it, and you have to fight harder at combating it as
Yeah.
you get older. But no, I'm very aware of it, and when I've had injuries, I was a medical doctor originally, but I was only briefly a doctor. I'm not a doctor anymore. But when I have injuries, I rarely know what to do about them, but I know what they are.
Yeah.
So I remember doing a class once. I was doing a circuit training class, and I was doing running where I was leaning on the bench and running, which
Oh, like a
activates
mountain
your-
climbers.
it was
Oh, I
horrible.
hate
Oh, they're
those.
horrible.
I
It
hate those.
activates your calf muscle but stretches
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
Achilles tendon at
Not
the
a
same
fan.
time. Something went in my knee,
Ay.
but in the back of my knee, and I was like medial head of gastrocnemius.
Oh, God.
So I knew what it was.
I'd love to be able to do that.
I don't know if it helped me deal with the pain at all, but I knew exactly what had happened.
You're going to have to stop there. I've just popped my medial head of gastrocnemius.
The rest are going, you know that doingy bit?
Yeah, the
that doingy bit's
But the
wobbled.
operation I had on my ankle was interesting because I'd been running for a few years. I'd had a bad sprain.
Yeah.
I fell over. I watched my ankle swelling up to the size of a small melon, like a Galia melon.
Yeah.
And it was I think my perception of the pain in that moment that it was worse than childbirth. It was so
yeah.
painful.
Yeah.
So I'm lying on the floor watching my ankle swell up, thinking this pain will subside while the dog's licking my face.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after that, it didn't really get better. I went to a physio who helped me with some of the pain and ways of kind of making my ankle stronger. But eventually, I went to a surgeon, and he said, "Well, I think the sprain was actually because you've already had an issue with your ankle. Have you noticed that?"
Okay.
And I said, "Oh yeah, I had this occasional needling pain." And he said, "Well, look at your ankle. There's an extra bit of bone there."
Oh,
And I looked down as an anatomist
Yeah.
and went, "Oh, I've never noticed that before."
really?
And there was a big extra chunk of bone.
What, you'd grown a bit of extra bone?
Yeah. In
I
front
think
of, you
that
know, the
does
knobbly
happen.
bit on the inside of your ankle.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
called
it's horrible when you hit that on something.
Oh, it is.
It's
Yeah.
really...
Yeah. If you anywhere there's bone just under the skin, periosteum is very, very well innervated. So if you hit it, you know. I mean, if
Yeah.
you hit your shin, because your
Yeah.
tibia is just under the skin as well. But yeah, that knobbly bit is called the medial malleolus. It's part of the tibia. And my one had this extra bit in front, and he said, "Remind me what you are again, an expert in what?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, bones." And he was like, "You haven't noticed that?" So he removed it, and that was an incredible experience because he removed it going, "Well, I can't guarantee that this is going to take away that niggling pain in your ankle, but let's see." And literally the day after the operation, my husband was going, "Well, obviously you're going to be in bed for a couple of days." And I got out of bed to walk to the bathroom, and I stood down on the floor and I went, "Oh,
Wow.
the pain has gone." And that was literally, within 24 hours of that operation. So this kind of niggling pain that I'd had for probably at least 10 years had just gone.
Do you think the relationship with running has changed? I think it must have done. Do you think it went from a necessity to now a luxury?
I suppose it depends where you're living and what your society's like.
Yeah.
But I remember meeting fantastic anthropologist Dan Lieberman in Harvard, and he got me running on his treadmill in his lab in Harvard. And he developed this theory which was all about the importance of running in human evolution. And he and a colleague had looked at the change in body shape that happened around about between 1.5 and 2 million years ago. If you look at human ancestors, then up until that point, they are quite ape-like in their proportions, in that they've got long arms and short legs. And then you get this sudden, you get this sudden switch where you suddenly see long legs appearing. Very long legs compared with other apes. If we compare ourselves with chimpanzees or gorillas, we've got really, really long legs. And he said, look, there's all these other things as well. It's not just the long legs. It's the chunky Achilles tendon and where it attaches to the calcaneum. It's the back muscles which stop you pitching forward when you're running. Big glutes. So chimpanzees, I was saying this to my medical students and they were falling about laughing on Monday because I still teach anatomy to medics. And I said, big difference between us and our chimpanzee relatives is they don't have buttocks. Next time you go to the zoo, next time you go to the zoo, have a look at the chimps and look for their buttocks. They're non-existent.
They don't have a bum.
They don't have buttocks. No.
I've never thought
They're
about
very
that.
backed, aren't they?
No, so we've got huge gluteus maximus muscle.
Thank you.
Which is all about running.
Yeah.
Because you don't use it much when you're walking because you're just using that pendulum movement. But when you're running, you are extending your hip backwards and it's your glutes that are pulling your hip backwards.
You've got to really work on your glutes.
It's true, because somebody did tell me you've got to engage your bum when you're running, because I think that's where I've...
Engage your bum.
Engage your bum!
We're all doing it, aren't we? I don't know if we can see this on the...
Engage your bum.
I'm just giving it a little tweak. I'm just giving it a little clench there. Engage
I still have the physique of an ape, but the top half. Because I've got such long arms.
I'm really sorry, Esther, you are an ape. So we all are apes, but we're just very long-legged.
But you are an ape. But I do a joke about it in my show about how my husband said I look like a ape walking down the aisle when we got married.
Honestly,
no, because I'm very ape-like.
Rude. Well, we are apes, but we're apes that have been stretched in various directions.
Yeah.
So running was it must have been so important, sort of 1.5 million years ago, that people whose body shape was shifting in that direction had a slight advantage.
Of course.
And so therefore but then becomes natural selection works on that. You've got a bit of an advantage.
Oh, I'd have been so eaten by a saber-toothed tiger.
But it's people running onto the plains, and it is when people are starting to move into that kind of savanna environment in Africa, and presumably somehow competing with those other big predators. Probably not face to face, but if they could see a carcass, if you saw vultures circling and you realised there was a carcass there, you also know that the lions are going to go away and sleep at lunchtime. In the noonday sun, they're going to be sensible and you can run and go and grab a bit of meat, and you can run away again. So running was really, really important.
Especially when you think it's the only form of transport as well.
Yeah.
If you
absolutely
had to cross anywhere, which they clearly did, like large continents, the longer the leg, the shorter the journey.
I mean, it's not efficient. So walking is massively efficient.
Yeah.
So it's very, very hard. And people who are, trying to, calories in, calories out, all of that kind of thing, and maybe trying to lose weight, you can walk a long way and not lose any weight because you're hardly burning any calories walking. It's very, very efficient. Running's not. So so you do burn calories running.
I thought you did burn calories walking.
You do. I mean, you'll always burn a bit, but
Yeah.
it's not. But it is really efficient. There's all these kind of little things. I mean, there's little things when you're walking. It's very clever. There's little things which just save you a bit of energy.
Yeah.
Travelator.
You're yes. You've got this pendulum movement. So when you're walking, you're slightly lifting your body weight up, and then you get it back at every step. So there's like an inverse pendulum thing going on.
Yeah.
With running, you don't get that at all. But what you do get is a little bit of stored energy in your tendons and ligaments. So they're slightly stretchy.
Yeah.
So every time you stretch them, you're basically loading them, and then you get that energy back again. So
Oh,
there
like
is
a
little
hybrid
bit of
car.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
No, it is
yeah.
exactly like that, yeah.
I've always thought of myself as a Prius.
Or an electric car that's
Yeah.
regenerating electricity when it's braking. It's like that.
like that.
Yeah.
Goes back in.
Yeah.
Back to the old boiler.
Yeah, in fact, I have described myself as an old boiler.
Why have you described yourself as an
Well,
old
because
boiler?
not in tip-top condition, but we'll just keep going.
Right.
So
see, this is fight the decrepitude.
yeah.
We're fighting the decrepitude.
Because I go to a fitness class where I'm one of the oldest. I'm 54, and there's lots of younger men there and younger women, and some women my age. But I find where they will when it comes to sprinting, they will always outdo me, always. But when it comes to just plodding on, keep going.
I've always said that though, not about you, but I've always thought it myself. When people are, I'm not somebody who can sprint a 5K in 20 minutes. I'm not someone who can. I'm not a sprinter. I'm not fast. But I can plod for hours.
Well, sprinting's interesting because I think it is a kind of specialised thing. Whereas actually, part of Dan Lieberman's theory was all about endurance running, plodding. It is about plodding. And so humans are really, really good at running slowly. Really good in terms of that's the most kind of efficient running that you can do. Yeah. And they can outrun animals.
Really?
So not in terms of speed, but in terms of endurance.
Oh God,
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that is fascinating, isn't it?
I'm trying to think of animals that I could outrun.
If you just get into that, if you get into the rhythm where you can just go and go and go and go, that's what humans are really good at.
Do you think we're still evolving then? Do you think we're still evolving to get... Do you think...
Fingers crossed.
Like, a million years from now, if we're still here, but will we become more athletic?
Well, so evolution's interesting because it doesn't have an aim in mind.
Yeah.
And natural selection is very negative. So natural selection basically is the Grim Reaper. It's a combination of the Grim Reaper and how many children people have. So and it is very negative. It's a sieve. So that capacity would have to be there already. So natural selection can only act on what's there already. It can't invent new things.
Yes.
So you've got variation being thrown up all the time in any organism that's sexually reproducing. You're mixing up genes every generation. So your children are not just little clones of you. You've mixed all the DNA up. So you're constantly producing the stuff of variation. You get mutations in the DNA as well. And then that's what natural selection can act on. And natural selection is negative. So what natural selection is doing is getting rid of variants. Yeah. And then the ones that are left are the ones that best fit their environment. Now, it might be getting rid of them. Sometimes it is about survival. So if you can't run away from a predator, the predator gets you. But sometimes it's about particular groups of people having more children than other groups of people, and therefore their genes are going to eventually predominate in that population.
Of course, yeah.
So it's very hard, and you can't do it. You can't do that crystal ball thing and say what a human's going to look like in a million years' time. If we manage to continue in the way that we're doing at the moment, where if you look broadly over the 20th century, most people's quality of life in most countries around the world got better and longevity increased. Mm-hmm. So we're looking after people much better than we were even 150 years ago, and certainly 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. That is blunting natural selection.
Yes.
I think that's a good thing because it means less, particularly childhood mortality.
Yes.
But it does mean you're not changing as much.
That's
so if we were to do that, if we were able to protect ourselves in the way that we are learning to do, and make sure that everybody's got enough food, and we protect people from disease, and we make sure that even fewer children are dying in infancy, then there's no selection pressure to change. There are other things that can happen. So there's things like genetic drift, where actually you can get changes just kind of drifting across a population, and they can add up to something quite profound over time. But I think unless a big asteroid falls on us, we'd probably look quite similar in 1 million years.
Okay.
We've had this body shape for 1.5 million years, and I think it works quite well. So it would only be if it suddenly didn't work well that you'd wipe out a whole section of the population, and some people with slightly strange bodies would survive, and they'd be the ones that kind of then were the future of the human species. I did a really interesting creative project for BBC4 ages ago, probably about 10 years ago, where I'd often said that the human body's not perfect. It works. It's a kind of hodgepodge, and it kind of, is good enough. And that's what natural selection has done, is it's kind of weeded out the things which really didn't work, but it doesn't leave you with something that's perfect.
No.
It leaves you with something which is all right. It'll do.
Yeah.
And so Roger Highfield, who's the creative director at the Science Museum, said, all right, if you don't think the human body is perfect, you design a perfect human body.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, well, we'll tweak things. So we'll do things like we'll have a respiratory system, lungs that are a bit more like birds' lungs because they're more efficient than ours. I might do some things like making eyes slightly bigger. And then, so some of it was quite subtle.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing it as a kind of artistic project. So there was a fantastic artist who built the body. I didn't realise when I started getting into this and talking to the producers about it that in the back of their heads they were going to do me. They scanned me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole kind of does my bum look big in this thing where I'm being laser scanned.
Wow. Yeah.
And they recreate my body. And then the artist tweaked my body. But I went, right, human legs, we can run well. We're good at endurance running, but we're not the best runners. And if you want to be a runner, you don't want a body that's also, we're generalists. So you can run with these legs, you can also climb with these legs, you can walk with these legs, you can swim with these legs. If you were just going to design legs, which were very good for running, you'd pull all the weight closer to the trunk. So
skinny little calves.
Yeah.
Tiny little calves.
Not even any carbs.
Really?
That does kind of make sense.
Think about ostriches.
Yeah, go down to like a really like hardcore running group. You just have lots of men who have no
calf. I thought you needed a big calf.
You don't want any. You don't want weight down
you don't
here.
Want weight down there.
So if you can redesign the human body to do that, you'd grow your toes really long, and you'd be running on your toes.
And they have
yes,
tips of your toes.
That is an ostrich.
So I ended up with this amazing model of me.
Sorry, Alice.
And toes.
Because I keep wearing out the toe of my trainers.
Which I think is freakish.
But the ostrich has the big sticky up toe.
Oh.
So maybe you're evolving.
So the thing which was me, and it's, I don't know whether you can still get it online, but there's definitely pictures of it. It's quite freakish. This me with these kind of weird legs with all the muscle pulled up towards the body, like an ostrich's legs, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm like a kind of human ostrich.
This is fascinating.
It was really interesting to do. I didn't like the look of it. And the producers said, you can, after it's been on an exhibition in the Science Museum, you could take it home. My husband's like, that's not coming in the house.
Alice, thank you so much for coming in and chatting to us.
This has been fascinating.
Long enough for 5K.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There we are.
Let me
got
see.
To the end.
Oh, yeah. That's it. 40 minutes, apparently.
You've done it, guys. You've done it. I was walking through the tube station and your book is being advertised in all the tube stations. Tottenham Court Road, Paddington.
Wow.
There's big posters of your new book. And here it is in front of us.
Yeah. Domination. So this is my book about what happens to the Roman Empire, and it's all about monasteries becoming villas becoming monasteries, about basilicas, which are town halls originally becoming churches. It's a kind of investigative story where I pick up all these archaeological clues along the way, and that's just out in paperback, and it's a Sunday Times bestseller, which I'm really pleased about.
Oh, well done!
Fantastic!
And I'm on tour with
brilliant.
it again.
Yes.
End of Feb, early March. Yeah.
End of Feb. she's going on tour. I'm going to go. Are you going to go?
Absolutely.
And we got to read
with my tiny little calves.
We're going to read. Yes, we'll go.
I'll have stick-like calves by then, Alice.
And
we'll measure them.
Yeah.
I shall have the toes of a T-Rex.
Yes.
And we should read that before we go to Rome to do our little half.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're going to Rome to do a half marathon, so that'll definitely be on our running.
Oh, so another thing
reading
coming
list.
up on Channel 4 is Roman Empire by train.
Yes.
Perfect.
Part of that's in Rome. Yeah.
Come to Rome.
Go to the Via Appia Antica. I cycled along it. I wouldn't recommend that because it's
What is it?
It's the old Via Appia, so it's the first road out of Rome to the south, and it's a fantastic archaeological park, and not many people go there. So you get away from the throngs and all the
nice.
tourists in the
Yeah.
centre of Rome, and you're walking along this beautiful road, and some of the original paving stones are there, and you just come across these amazing villas, palaces, palatial villas. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
fantastic.
Oh, thanks. Great.
lovely.
We'll do our cool down the day after through there.
Yes.
Oh.
Little saunter down there. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, my darling.
It's
Total
been lovely
joy.
to
Oh, my
catch
God.
up.
So nice to see you. I was so excited when we did Loose Ends together.
Yeah.
What a special day with Cast in the studio playing.
Oh, wasn't it amazing?
It was amazing.
Oh, look
Yeah,
at you two
amazing.
name dropping.
Oh,
Honestly.
please. She says Miss Celebrity SAS.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Thank you so much for coming in, and we'll definitely come and see you on tour.
Thank you,
And
Alice.
I'm off to plan my next run now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for listening to The Running Joke. I've been Zoe Lyons,
And I've been Esther Manito.
and we have been lovingly sponsored by ATW Events, who are bringing all sorts of running and triathlon events to you all around the country, all through the year. Lots of different categories, lots of different distances. It's for everybody, so just get involved. And I hope to see you there at one of the events very shortly. Esther, are you going to join me?
I think I'm going to try. I've got a show on that night, but I was thinking, maybe we can do one of the events before I go and do my
Let's
gig.
do it. I've heard there's snacks.
Oh, well, we know you love a snack.
Yeah.
Welland Garden City, maybe. What would they serve there?
I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe Cocoa Pops?
Possibly.
That's what I'm
Anyway,
thinking.
big shout out to ATW Events. See you at one of their events very, very shortly. Thank you so much again for listening. We have been The Running Joke, beautifully produced by Joel Porter at Productions. Goodbye.